Ms. Bike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I quickly came up with my list. Number 1, false information. Number 2, lack of transparency. Number 3, being second for Title IX. Number 4 is lack of a SPED plan. Number 5, lack of a real location. I don't feel like being located at the Boys and Girls Club is a real long-term plan, and I would prefer to see something more concrete. That's going to give me better feelings about the longevity of this school being in our community. The next one, poor schedule planning and not a well-rounded plan. I think I really respect Superintendent Ryswick's 865 academies and all that we are offering students. We've seen how many Austin East students got full ride scholarships to UT. We are doing it. We just need to put more money there. My next is lack of community outreach. I sent out thousands of mailers when I campaigned. So certainly you could do the same thing. Lack of community input, lack of community approval. Transgender students, I have transgender students that I represent and transgender families, and I specifically asked for them to commit to accept those students on how they identified, and there was no response. All the other responses were very prompt, so I think that also tells me something. The scripting, that I heard on Monday, I was really disappointed to hear a young boy call his mother illiterate, because I think in certain communities that would not happen, and that's really disappointing. Regardless of whether your mother can speak English or read and write English or whatever language, to get up in front of these people, I don't feel that was a self-chosen word. And lastly, this does not align with our strategic plan. I think doubling up on English and math doesn't align with it. We have a really well-rounded strategic plan to support students, and it does not go with that. So now I'm going to go into the packet and the false information and lack of transparency. This list that we were given, it doesn't list me because I actually did have a Zoom conversation with them on September 26th of last year. I'm not mentioned here, but apparently Reverend Butler is. So that's real interesting to me. I also reached out to several community members. Allison Comer, the executive director of Muse Knoxville, there's a letter that each of you have, where she refutes endorsing them and also some of their listings in here, and also has never agreed to have a partnership or even discussed having a partnership. Instead, she says that they just asked a lot of clarifying questions. Next, I have one of my constituents reached out to me, and she discussed Emerald Academy's lack of a very distinct plan to serve special ed students and students with those needs. The Knox County teacher letter that you heard, Brianna Holloway's letter that you heard, she's in District 1. She ran for District 1. She is a parent, she's a community member, and a community leader. Charles Lomax, he specifically, there's a letter there, and I'm happy to share any of these. I reached out to the bottom, which it was really interesting that when Anchorman PR reached out to me, they had no idea what the bottom was. And I think for anyone that is in that community, you know what the bottom is and what they're doing. And so they have a statement here. And then also, Matthew Best made a statement, and he's the executive director of the Change Center. And it did not take me very long, essentially this week, to get all of this stuff together. If it only takes me a week, imagine if you did some real community outreach, what you could get.